Good evening, Azeroth, and welcome to episode 155 of the World of Goldcraft. I'm your host, as usual, the Lazy Goldmaker of thelazygoldmaker.com. Welcome back to the show. We're still not recording live because my wife is going to be in a cast for at least another 4 weeks, so that's going to make it a little bit hard. And you can also tell that I'm nursing the tail end of a cold, so I might be able to record next week. We'll see. But this is offline recording yet again, so yeah. Now, in this episode, we're going to cover a little bit of about what happened with 9.1.5, the launch of that, and something that I discussed a little bit with the YouTube commenter, so that's going to be interesting. Now I am feeling better. Last week I was sick, so I was not in any shape to record an episode. I'm still at the tail end of the cold, but we're well enough to record today, so that's going to be nice. Might be a little shorter than usual. We'll see how it ends up. Now, of course, the podcast is made available by my patrons. That, amongst other things, can get access to my full TSM setup, so for both Classic and TBC. Not both Classic and Retail, of course. Now, if you're interested in that, head over to patreon.com/thelazygoldmaker. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what happened today and yesterday with the launch of 9.1.5. Obviously, I talked about a little bit about what might happen with the patch and whether or not you should prepare and what will happen to legendaries and materials about 3 weeks ago, and I also wrote a post about it on my blog. With the unlocking of Soul Cinders and the ability to farm as many Soul Cinders as you wanted, I obviously expected a huge amount of rank 6 sales just after the patch, and that came through. It was absolutely crazy yesterday in particular. So I'm recording this on Thursday evening, so the patch has been out here in EU for about 36 hours ish. So yesterday on the patch day it was absolutely crazy. The auction house ran out of Quartzite crystals, sort of as I expected. The price went from 120 gold per to 700 at the highest I saw. So definitely some very, very crazy short-term happenings. Prices on rank 6 legendaries for many slots went up by a factor of as much as 4 or 5. I think the most expensive I saw was like 150. I don't think I sold any at 150, but that's what someone reset the price up to. So things have been hectic, keeping on top of that. I've also seen a good number of rank 4 sales on today. Not so much the first day. I just cancel scanned the rank 6s. I didn't cancel scan too much. But I did generate, since the patch I've generated more than 4 million gold in sales on my main realm, and that's without spending the entire time reposting. So I reposted and did some cancel scans from the home office. Since I'm working from home, I can just do that every once in a while. And then in the evening, after I put the kids to bed, I got lured into raiding. So I was raiding during the evening. I'm pretty much just running cancel scans during during breaks. So that was once every hour. I would run a couple of cancel scans while we were on break, and that was it. So nothing hefty, nothing extraordinary in the cancel scan department to get that 4 million. And I used to generate about 1.5 million gold in sales on Draenor the weeks leading up to the patch, so that's obviously just an absolutely huge week. So yeah, prices been exploding, but it's still early days of this patch. We've obviously not yet I've started seeing some of the long-term effects that I've expected. Today my sale rate has been much worse than it was yesterday. I've not sold too much today at all. Most of my post scans have been, or most of my cancel and repost scans have led to about like 1 to 4 sales. Like yesterday I was getting like 5 to 10 sales per post scans. So it was a lot faster yesterday. And prices are down on a lot of legendaries compared to the peak yesterday, unsurprisingly. Including the fact that like rank 6 Shadowghast rings are now selling for less than my minimum price for that operation. So what we should start seeing now is probably quite soon materials might have already peaked on many realms, and they're going to start trending downwards because all of the materials are now dropping in higher quantities. obviously, a lot of the materials actually went up on patch day as well, which I was a little bit uncertain of. I was certain that I thought quartzite crystals would run out. But it looked like a lot of the other materials ran out or ran a little dry, and prices were higher than market value. Not to any significant degree, at least not on my realm. We're talking something like 10-20% over market value. It's just a small bump, and I believe that's going to already start trending the other way. With an increase in the rate of getting materials of between 10 and 20% for various items, that's going to have a very, very significant long-term effect in terms of driving the prices down or downwards. It's gonna be interesting, very interesting to see how the sale rates shake out going forward. What legendaries are people gonna buy? Which ranks are they gonna actually buy? Will we see rank 4s sell? Because it might be easier to farm up the soul ash. And then once you've got your rank 4, then you can start pushing the higher ranks of Torghast. So you don't need to do a high rank of Torghast to get soul ash. So you might see rank 4 still be good. We might see them be really underwhelming as people just prioritize going straight for the rank 6s. It will depend a little bit on the price as well, with prices getting cheaper most likely for rank 4s compared to before the patch. That is going to be a better value proposition, and it's easier to get the soul ash. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where that shakes out. I'm going to keep most ranks in stock still, just as I did before, and we'll just see how we get on in terms of sales. Now, to generate my 4 million in sales, I've done a little bit of preparation. I went up to about 4 or 5, varied a little bit by slot of each of the non-sharded domination slots, and I had between 1 and 2 in the slots where you did get a sharded domination. And then I had a couple of thousand, maybe 2,000 extra quartzite crystals to help tide me over. And I did run out of a lot of legendaries on patch day. And I had to craft more and bought some quartzite crystals at some pretty expensive prices. We'll see if I actually end up making money. I think I will, because I sold some legendaries for some very, very high prices yesterday, so it should be good. And today I've sold mostly rank 4s, or the ones that have sold for me today that I've noticed. I haven't detail checked my sales because it's a little hard to figure out exactly what rank you sold just from looking at the mailbox. But when I've checked the auction house and looked like, okay, these auctions are selling, I've seen some rank 4s. So that's interesting. So yeah. Rank 4's a little bit surprising how well they've sold to me, but as I said, it might be because of the ability to move soul ash around fairly easily. There's a good there's a use case for rank 4s, particularly for alts, that I hadn't considered earlier. I think I'm happy that I did at least some preparations. Obviously, I should have bought more quartzite crystals. I could have made some profit. I'm not sure if I could have generated much more sales though. Like if I wanted to stock up more, I would have needed to do even more cancel scans than I did. I did put out pretty much as much sales as I could. I was never really completely capped by my quartzite crystals. I was more capped by my time available to actually craft and sell, so I think that was well. And it will be very interesting to relearn the legendary market, because the dynamics are going to be completely different going forward. So we'll see. I think we might see like just a slow decline, since there's no like weekly reset to draw people back in. But we'll see. Time to figure out what the optimal restocking pattern is going to be going forward. Like which slots are you going to prioritize? I mean, rank 4 and 6 are the only ones with some strong support for them, or strong idea. Rank 1, rank 4, and rank 6 are like the 3 ranks that, in my opinion, make the most logical sense to be at least useful to someone. I expect rank 4s to be a little worse than they were before the patch, but rank 6s should be a little bit better and should have a larger proportion of the sales. But that's what we'll have to find out, essentially, as we go further. So that's for 9.1.5. Now I wanted to touch on something that is a result of a little discussion I had in the YouTube comments on my TBC flipping video guide on YouTube. So the commenter, he prefers farming, and he challenged me on whether or not flipping is better or easier than just farming. And that's actually a pretty good question. Obviously, I believe so. But also, I hate farming. So I'm biased. I'm not like an objective source. I think the crafting and flipping is better. I know that it's a lot better in retail. It's very obvious. There's nothing that's even remotely close to legendaries in terms of gold per hour. But is it true for TBC as well? Well, I think so, but I don't have the data or the proof to support it. So I realize that that's something I want to get. I want to do a deep dive on that. So I've already started working a little bit on that. I've started recording my material flipping sessions, since that's the subject of the video where the discussion came from. And recording how much time I spend, how much auction house value I add, how much gold I spend. And then we'll try to figure out the actual profit, which is a little bit harder. At least if we're trying to isolate the market, because, well, I might have to download the accounting data or export the accounting data from TSM and do some analysis in Excel to really get it going. But we'll see. So initially, just from the one session I did, I think this looks really, really good. I spent a total of about 6.5 minutes on one session of searching for items, collecting them all from the mailbox, and reposting them to the auction house. I spent just under 600 gold. When I posted it all back to the auction house, I had increased my auction house value by 900 gold. Or about 900 gold. I'm not going to give you I don't remember the exact number, but it doesn't matter too much. The point was that the difference in auction house value minus the gold I spent, that's the profit I can expect or I'm hoping to get. That was 277 gold in 6.5 minutes. So that's a gold per hour rate of more than 2,000 gold. Now, of course, not all of these materials are going to sell on the first post. Absolutely not. But even if we add, they're not going to take that much time to repost. You run to the mailbox, you pick it all up, you run back to the auction house, and you run another post scan. Probably a minute and a half at most. So even if you're doing that 10 more times to get your sales, to get your sales, you're still looking at a gold per hour rate that's more than 1,000 gold per hour. And I don't think you need to, well, you're also going to post other things when you're running back and forth. You're not actually spending you're not adding a full 1.5 minute per, you're not actually adding the full 1.5 minute for every repost. You're adding whatever extra time, or maybe you're adding one extra trip back and forth from the mailbox, and that's where you add that 1.5 minute over like a full session. So yeah, I think this is a little bit interesting to go a little bit more in depth. And one thing is to just look at the profit, or look at the profit from a crafting session, or the theoretical profit. Another is to actually record this and try to record how many times I need to repost. We could also calculate it just by using stuff like the sale rate. But I'm going to record a bunch of material flipping sessions, and we'll see how my average gold per hour is over a longer time period. I'll also try to make sure to we'll see how I do it. Maybe I'll have to make a specific or a separate banker and just move all my materials to that banker, and just do it like on a set timer every day or whatever, and do one session every day, something like that, to make sure that we can isolate as many variables as possible. I think that'll be very interesting to figure out and get some actual data, like how good is this, instead of just obviously I'm still going to do it regardless, even if it's worse than farming. I really dislike farming. But if it's better, then it's very nice to have the proof, and if it's worthless, then it's nice to have the proof as well. So we'll see. I think that's going to be very interesting to get some data on. So guys, that's it for me this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to read about gold making, head over to thelazygoldmaker.com. If you want to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/thelazygoldmaker, or head on over and leave a like or subscribe to the YouTube channel where this is also hosted. And we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye, guys.